What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fast Expand, the Warcraft 3 podcast here at Heroes Hearth on Twitch. My name is Kendric, and I'm back joined by my lovely co-host, RehcraM, as always, reporting for duty. How's it going, man?
It's going great, thank you. It's hard not to go great when there's WGL, and I work from home these days, so I can catch pretty much all of it.
The dream? Yep.
The
I
dream.
totally know what that feels like, man. WGL Winter is going on at the moment. We get beautiful games almost every day. And the best of the best are competing. And that is going to be one of our big topics today, of course. WGL Winter, the games that we've seen so far. You know, we're going to talk about expectations for the playoffs. We're going to talk about upsets, disappointments, and everything else that comes to our mind. Before that, though, before we move on to the big esports bite of the podcast today, we're going to talk about the Reforged beta real quick. Nothing super fancy. It's just the Night Elves, that came online. And a lot of people were looking forward to that, for sure. I think they look gorgeous. I think compared to all the other Reforged races that we have so far, they look the coolest so far. There's still lots to be done, of course. And then after we're done with the big esports segment with WGL Winter, we're going to move on to our final topic of discussion, and that is the upcoming Fight Night number 15. That's a really cool number. It's hard to believe it's already been 15 shows. It's crazy, RehcraM.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how have you been? Anything else aside from watching WGL 3 or Warcraft 3 that's going on in your life?
I'm writing the end project of my studies, so that takes up a lot of space.
But, is it a bachelor or master's thesis or something else?
I don't know what it's called in English actually, but it's a prolonged bachelor. So it's like a diploma, we call it in Denmark.
Yeah. In Germany, we actually used to have that system with a diploma until we switched over to bachelor and master.
Okay. Yeah. We have some of our education is like the majority of things are just master and bachelor. And then some of the more practical, like journalists and engineers and stuff like that, is still diploma.
What are you studying, if I may ask, or is it too private?
No, it's fine. I study construction engineering.
Cool. Oh man, that's sick, actually. Yeah. So there's a lot of physics, there's a lot of statics and mathematics and that stuff involved.
Well, yeah, a bit. Like that's the common thing in it. But I've taken like a direction where it's more like leadership and systems and economy and laws.
So all about the organization and
exactly.
that part of it. So sick, so cool. When are you expected to be finished with that?
This January.
Oh, then it's over with the sweet student life.
Yeah, it is. Gotta earn some money, but find a 9-to-5 job or something like that.
So sick. All right, cool, man. That's great. Yeah, for me, there hasn't really been that much going on other than producing Warcraft 3 content as much as I can. Thank you for sending over the replays, by the way. The 2 games that I uploaded last week were amazing. So sick. You can find more of that, of course, on the Heroes Hearth Warcraft 3 channel. You just go to YouTube and look for Heroes Hearth Warcraft 3, basically, and you should be forwarded to the channel. And you said that there were many. Let's actually move on to the beta before I was about to dive back into WGL, but let's just get the Reforged stuff over with. It sounds so negative, but it's actually a big deal. It's actually really positive that we have the Night Elves in the beta now. I played some games. I also played against them. So the biggest change is obviously female Demon Hunter next to female DK is very special, unique to Reforged. Will they have any other unique hero models? I don't think so, right? Demon Hunter is the only one.
You mean Night Elf?
Yeah, Night Elves.
I mean, we have already seen the Keeper of the Grove you get from Reforged. That's like, I think it's called like Emerald Keeper or something like that. So
I think the special skin that you have for the Keeper? Yeah.
Yeah, the Spoils of War thingy. So I think there'll be like skins for every hero, maybe not at a release, but forthcoming.
We haven't actually seen the equipment screen where you can equip those skins in game, have we?
Not to my knowledge, no. I haven't tinkered much around in it, honestly.
Yeah, I wonder what that screen is going to look like, whether it's just a minor thing that you put in or if it's going to be a separate screen and then you can have all your heroes listed up nicely and cleanly.
I could imagine it's just like one of those drop downs
Yeah.
that Warcraft already have some of.
I guess it'll be somewhat similar to StarCraft and Heroes, the client. I mean, where you have like a specific shop side or a specific equipment side. That's kind of cool. How do you like the Night Elves so far, RehcraM? First impression.
Well, I think they are probably the faction that I like the most, the design of.
Mm-hmm.
There are, as you mentioned, there are some minor things that are a bit weird. Like for me, the Huntresses look weird because they're so slim compared to the original.
Yeah,
In
I
the
think so
original,
too.
they are just super bulky and thick, and I think it's like deliberate that they have decided to make them very thin because it's like a panther she's running on, and they're not that big.
Yeah, the huntresses I noticed as well because the proportions are also completely different, right? In classic, you have a relatively huge rider on the mount, and the mount is rather small. But in Reforged, the Night Saber is actually dominating, and it's a huge model. So it took me a while to get used to that when I focused them with my fiends.
I also think the archers they're hard to like separate from the teams because the colors are not as impactful, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and the portraits, I think the portraits are weird. Many of them, like the Dryad and the Wisp portraits. I'm not sure how finished they are.
I heard there was quite a little bit of debate going on about the hairstyle of the Dryads, right? But I think they look great.
Yeah, I think both. I think the eyes are the worst for me. Like they are staring into my soul. And
Yeah.
in classic, they don't have pupils, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's what throws me off.
Yeah, you
But
can. Sorry, go ahead.
I think overall it's like smaller things with Night Elf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also a thing. I think with Warcraft Classic, which came out, Warcraft 3 Classic came out before World of Warcraft, as we all know. And I think now that they're doing the Reforged and World of Warcraft has been around for 15 years, they definitely want to take the WoW look into Warcraft 3 now. You can see that with a lot of buildings, with a lot of units. So the WoW look we're supposed to be the predominant look. So I'm not sure if they have pupils in World of Warcraft. I think so, though. I'm not 100% sure.
Probably since they haven't reforged, I would imagine.
Yeah. Like a really good example is if you take a look at the humans and you look at the blacksmith, it literally looks like you're going through Goldshire, and that was the mega blacksmith there for the first time when you saw it. So it's kind of cool to have this familiar look, but some people, I know some people at least, who are kind of sad or disappointed that everything is just World of Warcraft and no real charm anymore. But, I think overall the graphics are kind of cool. If only they were more polished on the beta. The beta is still very buggy, still very inconsistent, unfortunately. I'm not sure if you played a lot of games, RehcraM, but the colors right now are all over the place. Only today did I play a human, and the militias were blue, and the rest was red. And I was like, I was harassing them with my DK, and I was like, oh man, these workers are blue? What the hell? It was so hard to really make out the hostile targets. So, and custom keybinds don't work. You always have to manually select them again. Otherwise, you're playing with standard hotkeys.
Oh, really? That's annoying.
Yep, I had to cancel many games because of that.
I think they have some issues with the team colors. So
yeah, for
when
sure.
they have like team colors added, that's when it bugs out a bit. From what I've seen.
Sometimes when you stun them, impale from the Crypt Lord, for example, when you impale units, they will then be purple.
Okay, that's something that hopefully will be fixed with the release. But to like rewind back to what you said about it being a bit WoW-esque, I think it's good that they cater to like the new audience.
Yes, 100%.
Many of us who has played the classic and like gotten used to it, I don't think anyone really wants new graphics. So I think they should cater to the new audience and say, okay, you can just keep the old looks.
Yeah.
And I think I will do that, and I think many of the other people will do that. And then the new players can, use the thing they find attractive.
Oh man, it's we can't state that often enough. We can't stress that many or enough that if you don't like a model or if you don't like the style of the new graphics, if you don't like the terrain, if you don't like the colors, that's the beautiful thing. You don't have to use them. So I
Mm.
think almost 90% of all discussion on the Reddit or on social media in general, with that being kept in mind, you can almost dispel all the hate and all the ragey threads, where people are just outraged about the graphics. Sure, they look different. They're supposed to look different, but if you don't like them, you just play with the old graphics, and you still benefit of all the new stuff like the new client, new features, and stuff
Exactly.
like that.
And matchmaking and the
Yes,
league system that
MMR,
they promised. Yeah.
race-based MMR, very true.
Yeah, I
Good
think
point.
that's what I look forward to the most, like matchmaking and a league system. That's
Mm.
gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, I can't wait either. And the fact that you don't have to make a new account when you want to just switch races, it's pretty cool. Some people will miss it, the fact that you can just at any given time make a new account, easy peasy. But of course, then if you have a matchmaking that works based off MMR and you have people just making mass and tons of Smurfs, that will mess up the ranking and
Mm.
the matchmaking system. So it makes sense in a way to have people stick to one account.
Yeah, I think there are gonna be someone who's gonna miss it still, but I think overall it's
Yeah.
vastly superior to just have one account,
Yeah.
especially when it's like race divided.
hmm And of course, we also have to say it probably won't be perfect. There will always be imbalanced matches that you have. That's with any multiplayer game, really. Do you know how accurate or how good the system works in StarCraft 2? Because I don't really
Uh,
play any StarCraft 2 competitively, but it would be interesting to hear from people. Maybe you guys can drop a comment on YouTube, or you can
Please.
let us know on Twitter if you are a StarCraft fan and you play a lot of 101, 2v2 on the ladder, how well or not so well, in your opinion, the system works in StarCraft 2. That would be interesting to know.
Mm.
Yeah, so overall, I think final verdict on the Night Elves look pretty good. In fact, both of us say they look the coolest, right? So
Yeah, I
far
think
from what
so.
we've seen. Who's number 2 for you?
Um, I think that's the orcs.
Orcs, me too.
Mm.
The more I watch the orcs, the more I like the Taurens. The Tauren chieftain looks badass.
Yeah.
They just look really good. As much as I hate to say it, I think undead are currently the ugliest.
Well, maybe they're supposed to be ugly.
Maybe they're supposed to be ugly.
Ugly ass on this. Yeah, I think some of the human models and night elf or high elf
Mhm.
models, they are a bit weak for human as well, but the mechanical and griffins and stuff, they work for me.
Oh, the siege tanks, they look so good.
Yeah, they're nice. And the flying machines are a bit controversial, but I actually like them.
Mhm. Yeah. The heroes look good. I for one, I like the paladin haircut. I hope they're not gonna change it. I love it so much. Looks fancy, good, military, manly. I like that a lot. Some
Yeah,
people may disagree though.
I won't comment on that.
Uh, yeah. So overall, I think it's interesting and exciting to follow the progress of the beta. I mean, all the game modes are now available too. That's huge. So
Mm.
you can try out FFA, try out 4v4, 3v3. That's certainly a lot of fun, and it gives you a taste of what's to come. There's not really a whole lot missing anymore at this point when it comes to multiplayer. Besides the custom games, and for single player fans, of course, there will be the campaign at release. So that's going to be pretty cool. So let's move on then to the juiciest, the most exciting
Yes.
Warcraft 3 topic these days. And I got my Liquipedia up, guys. We're going to take a look at some of the games. We're going to take a look at some of the information about WGL Winter. Gold League in China is currently going on. It's not the official World Championship, but in the community, it's actually set to be the most prestigious, the most important tournament of the season. There is 3 tournaments in the year with WGL. 2, sorry. Summer and winter
Yeah,
then?
Some on Winter, and then sometimes they have like a small
Yeah. Yeah,
with
that's why I thought it was
blackboard.
3. I wasn't sure if you
Yeah,
count that to the big circuit or if that's
not really.
separate.
No, no, not really.
Okay.
And I think I would actually consider it the official World Championship because it's sponsored by NetEase, who is like the official
Mhm.
partner of Blizzard,
Yep.
and it's also like streamed on the official Blizzard Twitch. So
Yep. Yeah, that's right, actually. We have a real official authorized Warcraft 3 channel now for the first time for
yeah,
English-speaking viewers. Back to Warcraft is casting on that channel. So if you haven't heard about this channel, then you can go to twitch.tv/Warcraft3. Easy as can be.
should be able to remember that one.
Yeah. And the reason, I mean, the reason of obviously being Blizzard wants to make it easier for community members to find the esports action.
Mhm.
But I think that's also a hidden sign. You know, we were desperately trying at BlizzCon to find out if there was going to be an esports scene sponsored by Blizzard. And the developer said they would love that. They would love to see it, but they can't confirm nor deny anything at the moment. But I think the fact that Blizzard themselves, they made this channel, Warcraft 3, it shows that at least something at some time will be broadcasted there.
Agreed. Yeah, you see a lot of people in chat that's like, "Why it's not on Back to Warcraft?" And they would get so
Yes.
many more viewers. It was on Back to Warcraft channel.
Hmm.
But I also think like it's a future channel, and they're trying to build it up already for hopefully tournaments they will arrange themselves.
Yeah.
So I think it's a real good sign.
Yeah, it always triggers me slightly when people think, "Oh, why are you not streaming on Back to Warcraft?" I mean, it's quite self-explanatory in my opinion. You know, obviously, Neo and Remo, they were hired by Blizzard as casters, but probably in the contract there was, they were saying, "But you stream on the Warcraft 3 Twitch, and we're
Yeah,
probably going to give you more money for that." So it's a good thing. It's a good thing for the community. For Remo and Neo, it's going to be great because they have a really solid contract there. And for the community, they're going to have an official channel where hopefully, we're going to have more content, more competition, and tournaments in the future. So that's really good.
fingers
And
crossed.
fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. So now that we've mentioned Back to Warcraft, by the way, shout outs to those
Mhm.
lovely, handsome people currently commentating their asses off. You really have to say it that way. Every day, pretty much 5 to 6 hours of broadcasting, and being someone that casted Chinese esports with Heroes back in the days myself, also for NetEase and Gold League, by the way.
Oh,
So um, I feel very sorry for them because of the round robin system. It's a pain in the butt to explain that to the viewers, and I can when Neo and Remo are just it's such a mess.
yeah. I think they're very mixed emotion on that too. I kind of like the system actually, and it
You know
is.
what? I like the system, just not when I'm casting it.
Yeah, it's true. It's a pain also just to figure out who is
Yeah.
like what happens if this guy wins and then that guy. Yeah,
Hmm.
that can be a bit annoying. But I like the chaos and that everyone plays everyone. And,
Yeah.
yeah,
And you can tell that for the English speaking broadcast, at least, production NetEase doesn't really have a dedicated stats guy, who would then do the math behind the stage and then just hand a
yeah,
piece of paper to Neo and Remo and they could just read that stuff. No, they are actually left in the dark.
yeah. You could
And
see
have to do
like
it themselves.
Remo had his blog and it was just scribbled everywhere with like names and like I think he had like the bracket with all the points
Hmm.
noted. So yeah, they have to like figure it out on the fly.
Which is not easy, especially when there's 5 players in a group and not 4. That makes it
Yeah.
even harder. So yeah, but let's actually. So we have had the entire weekend, Monday and Tuesday, with broadcast days. So the group phase is now officially over.
Finished today.
We know exactly which players are advancing on to the quarterfinals and which players had to go home already. And we're going to show you guys on Wikipedia the current progress of the tournament. So
Should
if
we
you guys
keep,
want to
like
check that out yourselves, by the way, you go to the Warcraft 3 Wikipedia and you then look for WGL Winter. Very easy to find. And then you see the prize pool, which is quite high actually, 35K for the first.
The highest yet
Yeah,
in WGL history.
really good prize
Mhm.
pool. And that is something. Like speaking of the prize pool, I saw a little bit of discussion on Twitch chat. Whether it's worth it to play for third place or not. But whenever there is higher prize pool for third place, you play that game.
Yeah, and it's $4,000 difference. Of course, it's worth.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
actually
that's
quite a hefty amount. It's
substantial.
double the amount,
Yeah, exactly.
So you want to play that out. And also, with almost no exceptions, I would say, every player at this point who plays on this competitive level and who's made it to this tournament, they want to show that they're the best. They want to show how much they've improved and what they can do. And for competitive people, it makes a big difference if you're third or fourth place.
Indeed, and there are also a lot of, at least the Westerner people, who haven't got a team. Like Foggy doesn't have a team, and
Yes.
Hawk doesn't have a team. So if they do well, then it's like increases their chance of getting a good team.
Absolutely. The prestige, the prize money, that is very important for teams, as you said, because in most contracts, for people who don't have that much insight or knowledge about how the pro scene works in any esports, basically, you normally, when you play for a pro team that pays you a salary, you in return give away a certain percentage of your prize pool earnings, your tournament earnings, right? So let's say 10%, 20%. That, of course, differs depending on the team. But yeah, even for the teams, the ranking and the prize money that their players earn is very, very important. Very important.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's
It
go
is.
over the participants real quick. Humans had the most numerous field. They had most
Should we
players.
just take one group at the time, maybe?
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna share it. Let's actually do it according to groups. That's a good idea. So yeah, sure, go ahead, RehcraM. You can talk us through Group A. I'm
All
already
right.
looking at the results, by the way, so you don't have to hide them or anything.
No, I won't. Yeah, so Group A, that's like I guess you could say a bit controversial, because that's a lot of, um, I can't call them bad players, of course, but like compared to the rest of the tournament's participant, it is certainly the weakest group.
Yeah.
I think Neo told me that the average prize pool earnings from Group C is higher than the total summed up prize pool earnings from players in Group A. So it is a group that is filled to the brim with players who, like, either old players who never really made it to the very top,
Mhm.
or new players like Zoen, and Hawk is not a new player, but they never really,
Yeah.
broke through.
Yeah, I guess that goes for every player really in this group. They're
Yeah.
they're not newbies, they're not newcomers.
Certain.
But they're actually all seasoned veterans. However, as you said, none of them is a champion. None of them is the big tier S elite of the elite.
Not
Yumiko.
the last few years. We have had
Exactly.
Yumiko, and WFC has, and Czech also has done good things because they have played for many, many years. But
Mhm.
last couple of years they haven't really been in the very top.
Exactly. Either they've been struggling lately, they've been coming back on the scene like Yumiko, who was AFK, who was working as a commentator in the meantime, or people who were on a longer break like Czech, or people like Soen who were always around but never really a shining superstar. So a very interesting group in its own way.
Indeed, yeah. And we saw actually Hawk making it through.
Sick.
And I'm very happy to see that,
Yeah.
because we saw that he made it to the playoffs as well in VCG and did quite well. But he's never really won a big tournament with Asians. I was looking up, and I think in 2014 or something like that, he got a third place in VECG. But other than that, he hasn't really, broken through, despite attending a lot of the WGLs and GCSs.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think Hawk is a very popular player in the Western scene. A lot of people want him to succeed. They want him to do well, especially when it's such a doable group compared to some of the other groups.
Yeah.
Really good to see that he didn't disappoint. Would you have thought that these two players, Czech and Hawk, would have advanced?
I think actually it's a hard group to call.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to say that now that I would have put them to advance, but I think I think Hawk would have a harder time against Zoan than he did,
Mhm.
because Zoan has actually played quite well in the Farseer meta. And I was pretty confident that Hawk would win against both VFC and Yumiko, and then I actually thought that Czech would win the group.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised that he lost to Yumiko, and yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
So-
crazy. So I wasn't sure if Hawk was gonna make it, but I definitely thought that either Soen or WFC would have made it. However, WFC, he didn't look so good as convincing. Neither did Soen. It was still a relatively close group compared to some of the others, simply because the players were so closely matched to one another. Pretty interesting though, because Czech is also the only Night Elf to make it into the quarterfinals. There is no other Night Elf. We can actually show that here.
True.
And if you think about the stacked Night Elf roster that we had for this tournament, Law, Lyot, Moon, of all people, Moon did not make it past the groups phase. Which,
and fuck, it's the first time that Foggy,
yes,
while intending, hasn't made it to the playoffs.
that is crazy.
Mhm.
And he's now the only European player or Western player that did not make it past the groups.
Les Hitman as well.
Yeah, he's not European though.
Yeah,
But
you
he's
said- you
Western,
said-
that's true.
You said Western.
Yeah, that's true. And to be fair, Hitman, he was the darkest horse in the race. Nobody really expected him to move on, but
he had some good games as well.
mhm.
I mean, his score does say 0-4, but I think he can be pretty proud of what he did. He took a game of focus and took 1-2-0 to the very brink. He had a
Mhm.
wicked good game on Concealed Hill against him.
Yeah.
So I certainly recommend everyone to watch that.
He only lost of 1-2-0 in the group phase.
No, he didn't. 1-0 didn't lose.
No, the only map. Sorry, the only map he dropped.
He didn't drop the map. It was just
Oh, he
very,
didn't?
very
Okay.
close. No,
Sorry, my
very
bad
close.
then.
He lost the game against Focus though.
That is true. Yeah, so Hitman definitely performing better. I mean, former Fight Night champion. What do you expect?
Exactly. That's what made him.
That's what steeled him, you know?
But I think also we should highlight that he's been competing for. I think he started in November last year to compete.
Yeah.
First Warcraft tournament. And while he did that, he struggled against like American players like Hunter, and I think he dropped some games against Danger as well and stuff like that. So his improvement over this year has been monumental. And if he continues to do that, then then I would be scared for the Asians next VGL.
Definitely true. A diamond in the rough, really.
Exactly.
Could definitely expect great things of Hitman in the future with Reforged if he decides to stick with the pro scene and, if he wants to continue competing. So, yeah, let's move on to Group B now and take a little bit of a deeper dive into that one. Group B, we have a dominating Lin performance, 4-0, absolutely smashing the competition.
He lived up to the expectations. Like the last 2 months, he has been looking unstoppable. He's been crushing everything and like reinventing the meta against human with all the timings and doing especially well there, and winning against 1-0. And he lost, I think, got eliminated once by Moon a couple of weeks ago in next, I want to say. Not 100% sure, but he has been nasty, and he's currently number 1 in ELO ratings. So he is, I think most have him as the favorite for winning.
Right. And it's cool to see that, we both of us, we spend a lot of time on Grubby stream, in the late night hours when we're just chilling. And I can't help but feel that Grubby too is very excited about Lin, mentioning that he wants to watch the games and, trying to find out what he played like and stuff like that. So it's really cool to see that there's a lot of hype around Lin, really being that orc force, that many people would love to see, because orcs haven't really been doing super well ever since the Night Elves stepped on the scene, the beginning of 1.30. But now I would actually say the Night Elves, they turn from dominators the keepers, the gatekeepers, quite literally, they're not doing as well anymore, and especially humans. I feel like are causing them a lot of problems at the moment.
Yeah, that's what it looked like in this tournament,
Mhm.
and I think while the stats have been looking quite even, I think in bigger tournaments, I haven't actually checked this, but that's like my gut feeling. In bigger tournaments and
Yeah.
like later stages, human has been eliminating them a lot.
Yeah. Very
So I
true.
agree. But Lynn, yeah, as you said, he is like the front goer for the orcs, and he's both very innovative with his plays and his execution is fantastic. So that's why I think
Yeah.
he appeals to a lot of players.
And
And,
before WGL started, there was never really a clear. It was never really settled 100% who was the best orc in the world, whether it was Focus because of his recent good performances, or because whether it was Lin because he did disappoint a couple of months ago.
yeah, I mean, if you had asked me a half a year ago who would be the best orc, then I would definitely be in doubt if it was
Mm-hmm.
Focus or him. But like the last month or so,
Yeah.
Lin has been not only in WGL but like in every tournament he's been playing, like CC Masters Club and the CC Master. He won that one, and even in the 2-on-2 Cup, he played well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Lin is looking scary, but another Titan is following from Group B right after. TH, man. So we need to talk about humans in general, I feel like, because they're dominating this tournament so far. If we not only did they have the largest roster of players to begin with in the first place, but if you look at the quarterfinals, out of the 8 players total, we have 4 humans. That's 50% of all representatives. Do you think it's the race, or do you think it's just the player material that they have?
I think the human has a bigger like player base in the top, very top, like
Mm-hmm.
TH, Infi, and Romantic, and now Sock, who we'll
Sock,
get
the
to.
god, the young god.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a bit. But I think also they have some fortunate matchups. We don't see too many unders, which is where humans struggle the most, and that's usually what eliminates human players, not human beings. Um, so yeah, I think it's a mix of good players and having strong matchup against the Night Elf, especially as you mentioned.
Mhm.
And I think the human against orc, I wouldn't say it's human favored, but I think it's very difficult to execute for the orc.
Yes.
So if you compare Lyn with Fly or Soin,
Yeah.
they do the same strategy, because Soin, for example, he rips off Lyn, and rightfully so, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so hard to like maneuver with the army because you can't get caught off guard. That's very punishing.
Yeah.
And you have to like micro 2 Kodos. So ideally you want to eat with both of them and get to safety without any of them dying to like bolt or something. So I think it's very, very like execution intensive, if that makes sense.
To me, orc human when spectated or when played from the orc point of view, it's
Mhm.
almost like balancing on a rope. And the moment you make one mistake, you lose your balance, you're gonna fall down, and the game just spirals out of control. One speed scroll you forget about, you lose. You could lose the game against slow when all your units get picked off. One Kodo, as you said, you lose it because you didn't micro it well enough. You don't. You eat the wrong target. You don't take care of your heroes enough. You get clapped and storm bolted by the Mountain King. You lose your Shadow Hunter. You lose your TC. Even your Farseer. We saw that actually today, right? First kill on the Mountain King immediately with power build altar. I think it was Jimiko who did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That
So
was something else.
I think when you're the orc, you have to play perfectly and you have to pay so much attention to what's going on. And if you're a master balancer like Lin, and you never lose your composure and you make it through the finish line, you look very good. You look very strong. If all the little things you do as an orc, if they are done well.
Yeah, I think that's we painted it with a very rough brush right now, but
Yes.
I think that's roughly true. And I think one of the things that I see a lot of orcs make mistakes on, which when I play orc, I also do the same. So it's not like I want to play high on my horse. But speed scrolls are so important when you
So
play
important.
Yeah, it was important when you play walkers, but now when you play shamans all the time, you can't just dispel all the slow and run away without it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to like buy it every time you are around the shop and it's available.
And the cooldown is so large on that item. So you can't just spam and equip every hero with a speed scroll at the same time. That would be hilarious, though. But you really have to have the good timing, and then you need to use it at the right moment, sometimes to chase, sometimes to run away. It's one of the core items, simply because slow from the humans is so oppressive against orc. But yeah, man, TH, as one of the humans, he looked okay. He didn't look like the strongest human in the tournament, though, did he?
No, I wouldn't say so. He did. I mean, if you look at the score, he's 2-0, 2-0, 0-2, and 2-0. So it's not like he's looking bad or anything. But against Foggy, for example, it looked a little sloppy. It wasn't as crisp as when you see Infi play against Night Elf, for example. So I think he had to pay a lot of attention and focus on the playoffs. If he wants to make it, big, he's gonna face either the 1-0 or Happy and then the winner if he wins his first match.
Yep.
So I won't have him as the favorite to win, even though he is TH and he has won 2 WGLs already.
Do you have a favorite, by the way, an overall favorite that you think is going to make it?
I think it's hard not to root for Lin when he's looking like this. Like, I would rather have Sock winning because he's just like a crowd pleaser. But Lin has, swept everyone away the past month.
I completely agree with those two, but I also have a third person that I want to win simply because of the storyline and what it would mean, and that is Happy. The back-to-back world champion, a non-Asian, that would be just legendary. That would be so good. But I fully agree with you, Lin, the last orc standing, or Sock, the newcomer, kind of. He's always been around, but never to this great expertise that he's shown so far.
And concerning Happy, I do think that if one player is to defeat Lin, then I think it is Happy who has the best chance. We've already seen 1-0. He has been taking Lin to some good games, but I don't think he has as big a chance as Happy does.
Yeah.
And TH hasn't been looking confident against Lin at all. So if I hope we will see a final between Happy and Lin, that would be the most hype for me.
Happy Lin, happy TH, all these things are possible. If you look at the playoffs here, again, the upper half of the bracket, it's very doable for Lin. Check is normally not on his level, and even Romantic and Hawk, despite it being a human orc matchup, which Lin is very good at that.
Yeah, I think human is Lin's best matchup right now.
They shouldn't be on his level skill-wise, and the matchup is also very favorable for Lin. Not for orcs in general, but for Lin, who just seems to be tearing apart human left and right. And then the lower half of the bracket, of course, that is way spicier, arguably. 1-0, Happy, Sock, and TH. That is getting really tense down there.
Yeah, it is. The upper bracket is it should be a walk in the park for Lin. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't make it to the grand final. I would have it any other way because Lin in the grand final.
Yeah, and as we said, man, 2 Night Elf powerhouses there in Group B, Foggy and Lawlight. A little disappointing. I expected way more of Lawlight, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it is a hard group. And
it was a very hard group, true.
You can't really be disappointed not making it out when Lin and TH is in the group. But I think everyone expected a bit more of Lowlight.
Very true. And Fly, he's always good for a surprise, but he was, the offline results lately just haven't been favoring him at all. And I think no one really expected great things of Fly.
No, he has been looking all right, but he's, for the first part, he's very inconsistent when he plays, and he was definitely
he's consistently inconsistent.
Consistently isn't. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I agree on that.
Group C. As we said, we have our crowd pleaser, our sunny boy Sock. Always good for a smile. He makes me smile. You know, when I see him walk on the stage, when I see him smiling to the camera after a victory, he makes people feel good. And
breakdance in front of the camera. Did you see that? I don't know if you saw that, but
I saw it last time. Has he done it again?
No, I just think he did it last time.
I saw it last time. It was great. Yeah. WGL Summer. You know, Sock actually overtaking Happy there. Better map score.
No, not better map score. He won the head-to-head.
He won the head-to-head? Okay, there we go. Those are the straight-up comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone is insane. In an unfavorable matchup, Sock takes down the world champion Happy. One of the biggest upsets.
Actually, he's been looking super strong against Happy. I looked up his stats. The last 4 matches between the two, he's won 3 of them, including this one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain it's his best matchup, and it's like Sock is just Happy's kryptonite. So that's...
What is it though that you would say makes Sock such a strong player at the moment? Is it his micro? Is it his decision making? What would you say is Sock's trademark, if there is any, or is he just overall solid?
I mean, he's obviously an overall solid player, but especially in matchups where on maps where he can fast expand, he likes that playstyle, and he's good at taking it to long distance, and you know the macro aspect of the game too.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't say he characterizes himself with micro, but as well like macro and just being quite by the book.
I oftentimes, when I compare Sock's playstyle and Romantic's playstyle, for example, I just can't help but feel that Sock is just way more flexible and able to adjust and adapt to what the opponents play. I'm actually surprised that Romantic made it out of the groups. I didn't catch many games. In fact, I'm not even sure if many games were shown on stage that he played. I saw the game where he played against 1-0, and he got destroyed. It wasn't even pretty. It was so one-sided, and Romantic just kept playing standard Romantic, and that is fast expand, try to survive, and then build siege units, build siege tanks and gyros, and kind of quote-unquote lame your way to victory. And it got punished super hard by 1-0, and I wasn't sure if he was going to make it, but apparently the other games looked way better, the non-undead games, and he's one of the humans that made it.
Mm-hmm.
Over Chimiko, who played out of his mind almost. I think Chimiko played so well, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I think I really like Chimiko, and Chimiko is very innovative and has great micro, but then he also often does some weird things that like inexplicable and straight up weird, I'd say. But he is one of the most fun to watch players.
Yeah, for sure. Legendary surrounds, great micro, comes up with fun strats every now and then. So cool player. So Sock looking very good, very strong. Happy looking almost flawless if there wasn't a kryptonite called Sock. And then we get to talk about the juicy upsets here. Infi and Moon. Both out of the group's phase is very unusual.
Yeah, that was the very weird part about I should say to all listening that the group was concluded today, and the last match was going to be Sock versus Infi. And if Infi won, he would just qualify together with Happy. And that's what everybody expected. Everything looked quite normal. Sock had been doing well, but he was up against Infi. He had a 1-9 match win rate against Infi. So he had 10% win rate before the match. So while he's not considered horrible in Mirror, he's never been on Infi and TH level. He's been struggling even to beat Romantic, and I don't recall with Hawk, but he's just been mediocre in the matchup and never really beats Infi and TH in high profile matches. So that's why it was surprising, because suddenly he just wins 2 games in a row, boom, boom, and makes it through to everyone's surprise.
I found it hard to watch Infi at times because I felt so sorry for him. But then I didn't feel sorry for him again, because he was so spiky. He demolished Moon, dismantled him, wiped him off the board, and then he lost against others. You know, he lost to Happy
Yeah, I think he
and lost to
plays
Sock.
against Happy. He plays a very some would call it lame style, like raiders and take economical advantage and then run back and forth. But Happy, he has struggled against it a lot when Infi has played against him, because it's not the first time that Infi picks Orc against him.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that Infi has been having a very good track record and is happy with Orc, so it's not like to flex on him or anything that he picks Orc. But Happy just played it so well against him.
Yeah.
He dealt with all the Zeppelin harass with Raiders super efficiently.
The Zeppelin deflection against Zeppelin harass.
Yeah, and Infi tries
so
to play across the map all the time, and never really try to fight him. But Happy I don't know if he has practiced specifically against it, but he just figured it out. It clicked for him, I guess.
Yeah, he played.
Took him
like
down.
it started with like the tiny details sometimes. How Happy against Orc against Infi built his base, how he protected the buildings, how he had a ziggurat in the back, how he had the fiends where they needed to be. Just everything made so much sense when you saw Happy play against Infi, and he prepared so well against him. I cannot agree enough with you there. So really good. Other than that, there's nothing really much to say. I mean, Moon, everything has been said, really. He's the most prestigious player, a living legend amongst Warcraft 3, if you will. Didn't make it. What would you say, RehcraM, was the reason, or were the reasons for Moon not making it, in your opinion?
Losing to Happy and Infi would be my call. No, I don't know. He hasn't been looking too dominant lately.
Yeah. I think he struggles in this meta.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Infi he's been playing so well against Night Elf. I know many say that it's very human favorite, and maybe it is. I wouldn't really know, but Infi just takes it to another level, and he plays the matchup very well and has the Blood Mage push that he does now. Down to a T. Drains all the mana from the heroes, forces the enemy to, use all the moon juice at a record speed, and then just chokes them out. So against Infi, I think that I would contribute it to Infi being good in the matchup. It's not really because I think Moon played worse than he usually does.
That being said, though, I was not very happy with Moon's Warden play. I just don't think it's there where it needs to be. If he plays that hero, that is,
That's true, yeah. It's not really. He's not known for playing, Warden to the same extent that Lawlight plays it. And the triple hero Warden play was also quite dubious. I think I would just have stayed on Panda, but who am I to teach?
That is always the thing you have to keep in mind when you criticize Moon or you try to find a better solution. He is a living legend, and he knows more about the game than we could probably ever amass in our life. But yeah, it's hard for Moon fans to see their idol fail this time around.
And also think that all human players has gotten a lot more practice against Warden lately.
For sure.
It has also always been a great pick, and it still is, but I think the last month or two it has been more prominent because the meta has been shaken up, and we went from Keeper to Demon Hunter, but some people were not really satisfied with playing Demon Hunter against human, so then they tried Warden a lot, and now TH and Infi both, I haven't seen them lose against Warden in a long time, actually.
Yeah.
What I remember.
Well, then, only one group left to talk about, and that is Group D. And I am a little bit surprised by Romantic. I thought it was either going to be Focus or Chimiko to make it. I definitely expected 1-0, of course.
Yeah, I'd probably have rated. I've think I'd have 1-0 first and then Focus.
Focus, me too. Yes.
I think Romantic is better than Chamiko in every matchup other than Night Elf.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think I don't think Focus is anywhere near the same level as Lin or even Soin against Human.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Romantic isn't the same Romantic as he was during the Blade Master meta. When he played against, Blade Master on 1.28, then he was a beast. I mean, Lin said several times that Romantic was the one player he feared playing the most. And that was before
Interesting.
Romantic really made a name for himself. But once the Orcs now play Farsi, Romantic is struggling a lot more against Undead and the playstyle he has to, convert into.
Right.
But he makes it through, and he did defeat Focus, so he's not all bad, definitely.
As you said, man, I would have expected Focus to make it. I'm a Focus fan. I always hoped that he could finally convince at an offline tournament, which he has yet to do, and he failed this time as well. So sad story for the.
All the games were so close. Like every single one of the best of 3 went to 3 games.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's the only player that's
every game he played 1-2, one or the other way. So it was not an easy task for the other players to overcome Focus, but they did overcome him, and that's why Romantic and 1-0 is at the top, well deserved. Hitman, of course, he was the dark horse. People cheered for him very hard. So did I. But it was one of the hardest groups, so we can't really blame him. What do you think if Hitman had played in Group A? With the likes of Hawk, Soin, Czech, WFC, and Yumiko.
I think he would win against Soin and WFC. And I'm not sure. I think he could beat Czech as well.
Mm-hmm. That's funny, isn't it? If you think about it, if Hitman had been placed in Group A, he would have maybe made it top 3, maybe top 2.
Yeah.
On a good day.
I'm not sure if he would beat Hawk. And I'm also not sure against Yumiko because he said himself that he's not the best human player against human.
Mm-hmm.
That is,
which is a bad property in a stacked human tournament like this one.
Yeah, it's not very fortunate. He also got a group with 2 humans, so that didn't help. He said, I did an interview a couple of weeks ago with him, and he said then that he think that he would have the best chances against 1-0 and Focus, despite them being like the
crazy,
higher rated players. And that's also what he showed. He took a game off Focus and almost took a game off 1-0.
Yeah.
So he was right.
1-0. We talked about Infi and Fly, certain players being inconsistent. And what do you think about 1-0, man? He is not necessarily inconsistent, but I would call him emotional. I would say that he can get on tilt. He can sometimes not respect his opponents enough, and that can sometimes lead to surprising results against his favor. Do you think he's 100% serious in this one? Do you think he stands a chance in the future rounds against Happy, against potentially Sock or TH?
Well, one question at a time. I don't think he's that inconsistent. He used to be inconsistent, but lately I think he's been, living up to my expectations for him for the most part. He had a few months where I think he played a lot of Hearthstone or another game, and you could feel that in his play that he felt. That's when I would say he was inconsistent.
Right. Other priorities. How dare he neglect Warcraft 3?
How dare he neglect Warcraft and have, other games and real life things. Can you believe that? No, but I wouldn't say he's inconsistent anymore. And we see him 4-0 in his group as one of the very few people who did that. But your next question was if he has a chance, and of course he has a chance, but he's facing Happy in the quarterfinal, and I think that's a unfortunate pick for him.
I think when you the happy factor, I want to call it, I think it tends to have an effect on you when you play against someone who many, consider to be almost the perfect player in like when he's on a roll. When Happy has a good day, he makes no mistakes. And I think that always is in the back of your mind, when you play against him. You're always like, oh, man, I can't allow to make any mistakes. He's going to know what I'm going to do. I think 1-0 has the mental fortitude to break through that, though. Especially because I feel like there's this rivalry. I'm not sure if they have a rivalry, but there could be one.
I think people are just hyping up the matches between.
You think they're hyping it up?
Yeah, but I also think that the problem isn't. I don't think Happy is just a better player than 1-0, but I think like the Happy style counters 1-0 a lot because 1-0 said earlier, I don't remember what the context were, what tournament was, but he said that I have the strategy and Happy has the micro.
Okay.
But when they play each other and 1-0 plays Dreadlord first, for example, as he has done a lot against VFC and all the other under players, Happy has shown that he can break through it and he doesn't mind playing against it. So I don't think Happy is scared about that. And I don't think 1-0 is the greatest at a straight up. He doesn't like the matchup under Mirror particularly well. Is what he has said and what's, the record against Happy show, for example. So it's not a matchup that I think 1-0 is super confident in compared to his, elf matchup or human matchup or orc matchup.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting for sure. 1-0 against Happy. A lot of mirrors, actually, if you look at it.
Yeah, we're getting the mirrors eliminated in the first. So semifinals are guaranteed no mirrors.
Yeah, the humans are going to take each other out. But of course, if all the humans continue to impress, it could be a human-human mirror in the finals. Although, with Lin and Happy in the mix or 1-0, that's very questionable. That's not a guaranteed thing at all.
I actually think it will be very hard for a human to win this tournament. Both because, in lower bracket, we have two of the best underplayers in the world who has been doing quite well against human.
Yes.
Sock, as I mentioned before, he's very good against Undead, but I don't think he'll beat TH, even though he did upset with Infi.
I think he'll beat him.
Today. Do you think he'll beat TH?
I think he'll beat TH. I think he's going to continue the wave, to ride on the wave.
Oh, I need to look at the stats. I want to see how he
Someone who beats Infi 2-0, I think, has what it takes to beat TH 2-0.
Yeah, but he don't. It's not like he usually beats TL or Infi.
In this tournament, though, man, I tell you.
He did play well today. I will give him that.
It's Sock's time to shine. But of course, TH, you have a point. That is the mountain to climb.
Yeah, I was super surprised that he managed to defeat Infi. But yeah, in the upper bracket we also have Lin, and as I said before, he is fantastic in the human matchup. So the humans have hard odds, even though they are 4-4.
I just, I'm going with Sock in this one, and I know this is already crazy. But
is it for the match against TH or is it?
No, just for the match against TH. I don't think he's going to win the whole thing, although that would be ridiculously awesome. No, I'm actually going to say Lin or Happy to win the whole thing.
I agree with that.
But as cool as it would be for Sock to be this tripping stone, just imagine if Czech does the unthinkable, man. It's hard to imagine that, though.
He is 1-6 against TH human.
Sock, that is?
Yeah.
1-6? Well,
yeah. I guess the human, he did beat TH's Undead. But against his human is 1-6.
Well, after those quarterfinals, it's going to be 2-6, I tell you.
2-6. Okay, I'm looking forward to that. I wouldn't be upset with it because I do enjoy Sock.
Yeah. Anything? So let's actually go through the playoffs and with our own personal fast expand tips. First matchup, Hawk Romantic. What do you think, RehcraM?
For me, this is the match that's hardest to predict. They are both pretty good in Human Mirror, but I will give it to Hawk.
I will join you on that one. Hawk is going to take that, man. It's been time for him to make it that far.
Yeah,
Lin check.
Lin. Easily.
Lin.
Yeah, I don't want to, curse it, but it's gonna be Lin. Let's be real.
And I don't think it's the tournament of night elves. I just don't. Whether it's the meta or in general, or whether it's just this tournament, I don't think night elves, especially not check, is going to cause an upset.
No, Org is one of the better matchups,
Mhm.
but check against Lin is not.
Yeah.
Even though the matchup might be balanced, the players are not balanced against each other.
1-0 happy.
I'm gonna give that to Happy.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you elaborated really well on why you think Happy has the upper hand in the mirror.
Mm.
So I do not want to conflict that one. And then Sock and TH, we already said it. You think TH? I'm gonna go with my boy Sock.
I mean, if I'm going with my heart, it's gonna be Sock as well. If I have to think logically, it's gonna be TH.
All right, cool. Do we know the exact dates, by the way, when these games are going to take place?
Yeah, the quarterfinal is tomorrow,
Mhm.
an hour earlier than normal, so it's gonna be 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
CET.
CET for the Central Europeans out there. Yep.
Mm.
Which should be 3 a.m. for the Central Americans. And then, of course, if you live west of that or east of that, you can do the.
Not a good time zone for the Americans for that.
Actually, it should be for Eastern time zone. It should be 6 hours. So maybe it's 2 a.m. for the Central Americans, and then maybe 1 or 12 for the Westerners. So yeah, man, you better take that night shift. You better pull off the all-nighter if you like that. Warcraft 3 as an American.
Yeah. And then the last games will be in the 30th, so there's gonna be, a couple of days break until we have the semifinals and the grand final.
Very cool. And as we said, the games are best of fives, starting off with the quarterfinals. The finals are best of 5 too.
Mm-hmm.
So no best of 7 action there, which is a little bit surprising. I always like me some best of 7 action in the grand finals, but can't have it all.
Can't have it all. I think, when the semifinals, then maybe it's fine that it's best of 5, not to drag it too long.
And I would assume, since there is different prize pool, different prize money on 3rd and 4th place, that this game would also be broadcasted. It's not really a given anymore because a lot of tournaments just don't make a difference between 3rd and 4th. But in this one, they do. So we're probably going to have that game broadcast as well.
I think we definitely have, yeah.
Yeah. Which is sick because we want more Warcraft 3 games.
Yes, please. Especially when these players playing. Then
when it's these players, these casters, this stage, I can't get enough of it. I gotta actually give a major shout out to the artist or to the people who made the background graphics, the church window style with Arthas and the race symbols. Exceptional, so beautiful. And yeah, so, oh man, did we spend a long time talking about WGL or what? Love it.
Yeah. It's a big topic.
It's a very big topic. And let's hope for the best with WGL with Reforged. I mean, there will be NetEase / Gold League tournaments happening 100%. Let's hope they keep it as awesome and as extensive and enormous as they're doing it right now. But yeah, let's move on to our final topic of the broadcast, and that is the upcoming Fight Night RehcraM.
Yes.
Happening this Friday.
Has it been announced who's playing?
It has been announced on Grubby Stream yesterday, and we're going to announce it again on the broadcast on the podcast today. We have a Night Elf versus Human, the reigning champion Little DC from Sweden, longtime legend, former 4K member and clan mate of Grubby. He will defend his title against a player from NA.
Mm-hmm.
Do you wanna lift the curtain?
It is drum roll. It is Cruncher.
Human player, considered to be one of the best players in North America. Some say he's on the level of Hitman. Some people say he's above. Some people say he's below. What do you think?
I think that if you pit them against each other and just look at their, win rate against each other, then I think Cruncher is a better player because he's doing quite well against Orc. And as we have already mentioned, Hitman is not, super confident against Human.
Yeah.
But I think overall, I would give the edge to Hitman if we also look at mirror match
Mhm.
and I guess Undead against Night Elf.
Yeah, so we were actually very excited to bring back North American players after it felt almost like an eternity where we had European mirrors or European derbies, with a lot of Russians participating, a lot of Swedish players competing. So we thought it was time. And, Cruncher, he was on the list for quite some time, but we thought that some of the previous champions actually were a little bit too strong for him. So we have this fun, up and down of favoritism or power level, however you want to call it. And now we think it's time for him to show what he's got. And he was super fast to reply. It was probably the fastest response I've ever gotten when reaching out to these players. It took half an hour ish, and there was the response, and he just said, "Yeah, sign me up, put me in, coach."
That's great, because he hasn't been competing. He has been playing, Clan Wars and such.
Mm-hmm.
Or his team does, but he hasn't been competing a lot in the smaller tournaments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's been
the last result that we see on Cruncher's Wikipedia page is from August. So
yeah, exactly. I think he's been playing a lot of WoW Classic.
Mm-hmm.
How dare he again? Other games.
You shall play no game beside Warcraft 3.
When you see people with a talent for it, you just want them dedicate themselves. But he is still a great player, and he play in V3 IL and have great results there. I remember he played Cash, not long ago, and he won against him.
Yeah.
And as we know, Cash is a phenomenal player.
Top tier European player for sure.
Definitely. Wasn't that didn't compete in WGL, but he was there as a coach.
Mm-hmm. He's currently in China with the other Russian players and training partner, practice partner, coach. People or players can warm up with him. Always appreciated. So really good stuff. And Cruncher, he is a human player, and human versus Night Elf is a very heated matchup at the moment, with humans doing better and better after getting pummeled and humiliated when the patch 1.30 came out. All the balancing and all the adjusting and practicing has paid off, and now we have very cool matchups in this when these two races clash. We have depending on the map, of course, we have the infamous Warden versus Mountain King show off, which is super fun to watch. We have Demon Hunter coming back into it, and the old Keeper style still working as well. So we even have neutral heroes sometimes for the Night Elves coming in first against humans. So I am very excited about this Friday. What do you think who's going to take it? Personal opinion.
I think. Oh, that's a good question. I think they are quite even.
I cannot predict this one.
No, I think I'm not too sure how strong Lil DC is against humans, actually, because every time I see him play against a human, it's against Thorsane, and Thorsane, I don't know what it is. I think he's just on the skin of every other Swedish player and takes them all. But
Thorsane, I think, by the way, if he wanted to, or if he could have been at WGL, skill-wise.
Yeah, he has been competing like Wii League, for example, where he, got pitted against Happy and all the other. He struggles a bit against when he's playing against Foggy and Sonic. So I don't think Night Elf is his best race to play against. And even against Orc, he has done some dubious things like fast expand against the Farseer meta. Yeah, so he's a great player, and I think I would love to see him play on the international stage because he's got so many ideas of the game, and
I would love to see Thorsane locked up in a chamber, in a gravity chamber, and just practice several months straight up, and then be released. And then
I think if he played more than he does right now, because he doesn't practice at all, unfortunately, he would be on the very top of Europe.
Yeah,
but you have to judge them, on their results and how much they play. So I can't say I think he's one of the absolute best, but he's a scary, scary, scary opponent.
All right, guys. So of course, Fight Night. When will that go down? This Friday.
What is your prediction? Sorry for interrupting.
My prediction.
We forgot to say our predictions. We slided away from it.
I don't know. I didn't believe in Lil DC last time because I wasn't sure on which power level he currently competed at. I
Mhm.
think he looked really good though, especially because he didn't like the conditions. You know, it was a little bit too late for him. He said that he didn't really enjoy playing that late. But now that he's adjusted to it, and he can actually, or he could actually adjust and adapt to the late play times, I think he's only going to be stronger. I think he takes it.
All right. I think Cruncher takes it.
Oh man, I
Yes.
love it.
I don't. I think I would know if Lily C is that strong against human, and I don't like. I don't have any matches or any results in mind, but I don't
Mhm.
think it's his strongest matchup. So I'm gonna give it to Cruncher, but I think it's gonna
Nice.
be close. A 3-1 or 3-2.
I can't remember a fight night that hasn't been close for the last months, really. We very rarely had 3-0s, and we almost always had 3-1, 3-2s.
That's true. Yeah.
So yeah, check it out this Friday on twitch.tv/HeroesHearth. That is
Mhm.
the Twitch channel where the action is going to go down. Grubby and I will be casting. RehcraM is probably going to lurk in the chat, and he's going to cheer for Cruncher. So you can find him there as well. Um, and yeah, just cheer for some of the lesser known players, for some of the offstage players as well. They certainly do appreciate it, and so do we. There will be a prize pool of $200 for the winner and $100 for the loser, and the bounty will also be reworked. I know that the bounty system will be reworked. I'm just not sure if it's going to go live on Friday this week, but it'll definitely come live in one of the upcoming fight nights to come, and it'll be a hefty $500 bounty on top of the
Oh.
already
So it's like a
settled prize money.
set price.
Yeah, set price. So we're gonna of course keep the system of allowing players to contribute to that, like donating money on top of that, but there will be a minimum amount from now on, which is really cool for the players too.
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, I think we've that was a long episode, much longer than I thought it would be, but WGL makes for good discussions, RehcraM, and I think you've been contributing amazing insights as always. So we're gonna
Likewise.
try to get to the end. Final words belong to you before we close the show. Any shout outs, anything you want to let the people out there know?
No shout outs. Shout outs to the players who are in the playoffs of WGL, and I hope they will
Okay.
practice a lot and come with specific strategies for their opponents, and give us a good time.
My shout outs go to all the players at WGL at the moment, to the casters, to Back to Warcraft, who are doing an amazing job, and most importantly, also to all the people working behind the stage, because oftentimes observers, production crew, referees, admins, they don't get enough love. So shout outs to them as well. And yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to let us know. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitch, or the respective audio channels, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you're listening or watching us. And we're going to come up with another episode relatively soon, probably 2 weeks from now. And then we're going to talk about all things Warcraft 3, more Reforged info, hopefully, until then. And until then, guys, take care and see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Yeah.